Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining this HARP session. My name is Naile Palacios. I'm a senior lecturer in education at the University of Manchester, and I'll be facilitating the session. Today, we discuss two topics: finding your rhythm, navigating semester one, and building confidence as you move into semester two. And looking ahead, preparing for your dissertation and shaping the final stage of your MA journey. Let's meet our panel. First joining us is Cairo Wu, master student in international education with TESOL pathway. Next, we have Rafael Campercioli, master student in digital technologies, communication, and education. And finally, we have Shakrizoda Salim Boiva, master student in digital technologies, communication, and education. Well, panelists, thank you very much for joining us. You have now almost, I would say, concluded your MA studies. You are in, the process of writing up your dissertation, but we have invited you today to describe your experience of finding that rhythm from when you start in semester one and how you build that confidence and how you help yourself transition into semester two. So we're interested to know what happened, how you felt, what you did, and what you learned. To kick us off, I'd like to invite Kairu Wu to tell us about his experience on the topic, finding your rhythm, navigating semester one, and building confidence as you move into semester two. Are you ready?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kairo Wu, and I come from Nanjing City, Jiangsu Province, China. I completed my undergraduate degree in English in Nanjing, and I'm currently in my final semester of my MA in International Education TESOL pathway at the University of Manchester. I'm really grateful to Dr. Nayeli Palacios for giving me this opportunity to reflect on and share my journey with you today. I have always believed that reflection is one of the most important steps in learning. It is only through reflection that we can truly move forward. Today, I want to share with you how I gradually found my own rhythm as a student when I first arrived at Manchester. I hope my story resonates with some of you, especially those who may be going through similar challenges right now. To be honest, when I first arrived at Manchester, I was extremely nervous. The moment that the plane landed, I felt excitement and anxiety at the same time. Facing such a prestigious university, I genuinely did not know if I could keep up with the pace here, how to adapt to the way of studying, or even where to begin. Back in China, my English degree involved an enormous number of courses. In my busiest semester, I had nearly 20 courses, with 16 of them require exams. That intense high-pressure rhythm had become deeply ingrained in my habit. Preview, review, take notes, repeat. When I arrived in the UK, the same anxiety naturally carried over. I still wanted to do everything perfectly, and I still instinctively tried to prepare for everything at once. But I quickly discovered that the MA program here was completely different from what I had experienced in China. No midterm exams, no final exams, just final assignments. For me, this was actually a significant challenge because I had no idea how to connect my weekly learning to those final assignments. So from the very first lesson, I started worrying about my final assignments. Every weekend, I would spend 2 full days previewing course materials and organizing my notes. But each session covered so many subtopics, and although the content was connected, it often felt scattered. I could never quite figure out what I was doing each week would eventually contribute to my final essays. Every week felt productive, yet I always feel like I was missing something. There was a kind of emptiness that I could not quite explain. The most difficult moments come towards the end of the semester one. I had to plan to go back to China over the New Year holiday for about 10 days to reunite with my family and friends. But uh, out of my 4 courses, 3 had assignment deadline after I returned, with only a few days between landing and submission. The fourth was due while I was still in China. I'm someone who gets anxious easily. Once something is left unfinished, I find it hard to relax. My mind keeps circling back to the same worries. I did not want the pressure of assignments to ruin my time with my family. So I made a decision. I would finish every single assignments before going back to China. This was very much in line with my personality. I like to plan ahead and complete things early. My MBTI is ENFJ, and I'm very much a J type, someone who feels deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty. But things did not go according to the plan. Two of my courses require me to submit an essay outline first and receive feedback from the seminar lead before writing the full assignment. The seminar lead said he would provide feedback at the designated time in the course schedule, but I could not wait. I went ahead and wrote the full essay first, then submit the outline in the final week. It turned out that for one course, the feedback I received was very different from the direction I had taken in my outline. I had to revise the outline and wait for another round of feedback. But again, I could not wait without confirming the seminar lead whether my revision were right on the track. I went ahead and write another full version of the essay. It was only after a dropping session with the seminar lead that we finally reached an agreement, which meant I had to rewrite it once more. In the end, I wrote that essay 3 times. 3 times sitting there, working on the third version, I felt exhausted, frustrated, and almost amused by the absurdity of it at all. I had tried so hard to prepare so far in advance. How had I ended up doing so much more work than everyone else for no good reason? That was the moment I truly realized that planning ahead and rushing to finish is not always a good thing. The turning point came from a conversation with the seminar lead for the module. I went to find him between classes, eager to get feedback on my outline. He calmly told me that he would provide feedback at the scheduled time in the course plan, and that there was plenty of time. There was no need to rush. In that moment, I was a little taken aback. I realized that the seminar lead had never asked me to finish early. It was me who had set an unnecessary deadline for myself. All that exhaustion, all that anxiety, so much of it had been self-inflicted. I began to ask myself, had I been too impatient? Had I been treating learning as a task to be completed as quickly as possible, rather than a process to be experienced slowly and thoughtfully? And just like that, semester 1 rushed by in a blur. Entering semester 2, I began to make real changes. I stopped thinking about how to finish my assignment from the very first week. Instead, I focused on the experience of each class and began to genuinely reflect on where my real research interests lay. In semester 1, I had also taken part in class discussions, but honestly, mainly to tick a box. In semester 2, things was different. In semester 2, one of my modules, AI Perspective on Learning, had a weekly discussion forum on Canvas. The seminar lead would pose questions each week for us to think about and respond to. This time, my mindset was completely different. And before replying, I would sit with the questions and think carefully, then share what I genuinely thought rather than trying to give a correct answer. This shift brought me an unexpected reward. I encountered perspectives from my classmates that I had never considered before, angles I would never have arrived at on my own. The comments my peers left on my post made me reconsider my own ideas, and sometimes a single comment would open up an entirely new way of thinking about something. Gradually, the discussion forum stopped feeling like a task to complete and become one of the parts of the week I look forward to most. At the same time, this module also requires us to build a concept map over the course of the semester, adding reflection related to our chosen theme each week. This gave me a wonderful opportunity to pause and think about what I have learned and felt each week. My time management also changed. In semester 1, I had spent almost entire weekend reading materials and taking notes. in semester 2, I stopped putting all my time into studying and started to making space for exercise and going out to see the world around me. While working, I would listen to podcasts or use Notebook LM to turn readings and lecture slides into audio, listening and thinking at the same time. The weather in Manchester can be unpredictable, but I found that my mind was often at its clearest when I was outside working. Many of my best ideas come to me in those moments. My mindset gradually shifted too. I was no longer as impatient as before. I used to feel like everything had to be done quickly, that slowing down meant falling behind. But slowly, I came to realize that much of the real understanding and absorption knowledge does not happen at a desk. It happens in the moment when you allow yourself to relax and let your mind wander freely. Giving yourself room to breathe actually helps you think more clearly and move forward steadily. I had been interested in the impact of Gen AI on academic writing in English long before starting my MA, and if I have the opportunity to pursue further study in the future, I hope to continue in this direction. So not just in the course, but across all my courses, I began to connect what I was learning each week to this research interest, slowly building up my own ideas and thinking. This shift made me feel that learning was no longer something that caused me anxiety. It became something that gave me energy and motivation. The weight I carried each week became much lighter. I was pleased with my final results, but more importantly, I had developed a much clear sense of my research direction and a genuine excitement about what lay ahead. If you have just arrived here feeling lost, anxious, unsure of where to begin, I want you to know that is completely normal. I have been there too. Do not let your assignment become the whole of your learning. Assignments are just an outcome. What truly matters is the thinking and feeling you do along the way. It is the slow discovery of what genuinely interests you. It is finding your own rhythm after all the moment of confusion. Enjoy your time here, take it slow, and savor every step of the journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Cairo. Your experience highlights an important lesson about postgraduate studies. Success is not always about working harder or moving faster, but about learning when to slow down and engage in, deep reflection in the learning process. So thank you for, sharing your experiences with other people as well who are starting their journeys as well. Shall we continue then? I'd like to invite now Rafael Campercioli, MA student of the DTCE program. Are you ready to share your experience?
Sure, I'm ready. Thank you, Naheli, and thank you, Cairo. That was really cool. I think all of our experience will be somehow really similar. My experience is similar as well as Cairo's. And I think our both ideas will complement each other because he's thinking from the reflection and the way my mind works, I think more in terms of rules and things that I need to do to go on. So studying a master's degree is not only about studying, it's also about living in a new place, in a new city, in a different culture. And this is my second time doing that. I'm originally from Asunción, Paraguay, and I have lived before also in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now, of course, living here in Manchester, in the UK. So I have put down 8 rules to be made easier your coming and your adaptation to a new place. So the first rule is things are different than back home, and you should acknowledge that. Second is make new friends. The third is keep in touch with friends and family back home. The fourth is plan everything in advance. The fifth is discipline and smart routine will make everything easier. 6 is work in understanding the system. 7 is take advantage of the institutions, in this case of the university. And 8 is have fun. And I'll break down all of these ideas and also complement Cairo's experience, but because it's the same for all of us. So first, things are different at home. And this sounds extremely obvious, but it's important to think about it and put some reflection in that, in understanding and acknowledging that. For example, Cairo was talking about the weather. Weather is crazy here. Weather is totally different. So So for example, knowing that in December, in winter, you'll only have like 3 hours of sunlight and you'll be crazy cold, knowing that it's just already changes your perception and preparing for that. If you don't know that in advance, you won't be able to make the most out of it. So the culture is different, the people are different, the food is different, the weather is different. Also, the university and the teachers are different than back home. And if you put some thinking in understanding that and adapt your expectations to that, your life here will be easier. For example, thinking again about the teachers. Maybe back home, teachers don't expect us to talk in class or to express our ideas or to just be enjoying or actually enjoying the studies and their conversation and stuff. But people here, teachers here do expect that. So work in changing our expectations to the things that are expected in the new country are extremely useful. And that's my point one. Point two is make friends, not only because it's easier and more fun to do things with other people, but also because you'll be knowing other cultures, other people that are facing the same challenges as you, like the same adaptation process, the same making and acknowledging the difference and working on building a new routine. So everything's better if you're open to make friends. And again, this sounds obvious and it sounds easy, but it is not. And normally, if you take the initiative, the people of other countries, other cultures will follow you. So work from the first date to make new friends. And also, I remember in our first lecture, Ivy said, smile. Smile is always important. That's an international language about openness and friendship. So makes new friends and a smile is really important. Third, keep in touch with friends and family back home. And this is difficult because you have different time zones, different schedules. For example, I have 4 hours different with people back home, and that makes somehow harder to connect. But it's extremely important to not only keep the relationship because most of us are coming home again and need to have those relationships strong in the comeback, but also because as we are adapting here and making the most of the experience, it's really useful to have the support and the love and the warmth of the people back home. So put some time in your schedule to talk to your friends, to talk to your family, to talk to your girlfriend, boyfriend, anything, because that's also helping you go through all of this. The fourth point is, I think one of the most important is plan everything in advance. And when I say everything, I mean everything. The first time you arrive here, get the schedule of the year and see when you have like the deadlines, the end of the terms. Cardo was explaining about maybe the dissertation or the essays or the exams, anything, and build a year calendar to know when will be the busy times. Well, you be more maybe free, maybe to travel, also plan the travel times, plan the essay times, plan the dissertation times, plan your birthday, also plan the winter, because winter is hard. You should plan also the winter, plan everything in advance. When you have a plan and you're following rules in some way, like at least for me, it's a lot easier. And I will also recommend that for everyone. And that brings me up to the fifth point, that is discipline and smart routine. That make easier not only adaptation but also navigating through new times, as Caro was explaining. It's different when you're in a lot of units and each unit have one essay and each unit have a few readings, and maybe you're not used to balance all that. So plan everything and put it in a schedule. So for example, Monday I'll dedicate to unit 1, Tuesday I'll dedicate to unit 2, Wednesday I'll dedicate to unit 3. Doesn't matter if you have an essay or a reading that they just hold that time schedule, and do that. Also do that for the gym. Also, having a gym close by home is really good, and gym is also good for your mind and your body. So go to the gym definitely. Plan when are you going to the grocery. Plan everything. So if you're planning everything in advance in a new city, it makes easier to follow a routine. It makes easier for you to adapt. Also, nobody tells you this, but when you are first living in a new city, money is important. Not only money about how will you spend it, but have a budget, a monthly budget. Check that, know how much you're gonna have in the rent, how much in the groceries, how much in the gym, and how much in for fun, for beers and for music. There's amazing party and amazing music and a lot of football in Manchester. So also planning the budget and take care of the money in a smart way is really useful. 6, work on understanding the system. And this is key, and this is super different, because one of the things that I admire the most of these universities, the clear of the brief and of the marking criteria. So before getting into any kind of essay, dissertation, any kind of assignment, read the criteria, read what are you expected to do, and do exactly that. Maybe you won't be thinking that that's how you do it back home. Maybe that's not how your university in the first time work, but this is how things work here. So be sure to understand what you're asked and answer the questions and answer teachers' expectations. So if teachers expect you to talk in class, talk in class. There's no wrong idea. If they say there's no wrong ideas, they mean it. There's no wrong ideas and want to listen to you. So understand the system. Here in the UK, teachers want you to participate in class, want you to speak your mind, actually think there's no wrong ideas. And as Caro was saying, together with the teachers, with the community, and with our students, you'll end up building something new that will change you forever. So yeah, work in understanding the system and what the system asks you here. 7, also build on that, take advantage of the university, because not many times in life we have the opportunity to be part of this kind of huge institution. Correct me, Nayeli, but I think there is like 44,000 students here in the University of Manchester. That's a lot. There's a library, as you probably will never see again. There's ton of societies, ton of new people, tons of teachers. So make the most out of the university. Go to the university, meet new people, make the most out of it. It's only a year. Forget about how things work back home and be here and make the most out of it. And the last point, and the most important of this all, have fun. We're not here just to study, but we're here to become better people, better students, the better version of ourselves. And the only way to do that is actually enjoying everything that we are doing, the studying, and also enjoying the city and also enjoying the university. So as I said, there's amazing music, party, football, anything. Food in Manchester is a great place to live. I'm really happy with the decision of coming to Manchester also as a city. So have fun, meet new people, make new friends, go out, enjoy, and make the most out of it. So these 8 things sounds super easy, but they're not easy. So also I think, at least for me, it's important once in a while to think back and reflect if I'm actually hitting all the targets and ticking all the boxes. That's it. The year will fly by. You'll not know where the times went. As Naheli said at the beginning, we're already finishing this. At the end, we're going to remember the things we done and how we fun. So for sure, put a lot of effort into working, but also enjoy it and have fun. And I think that's it. Have a great time.
Thank you so much for your reflections. I think the idea I get is that finding your rhythm is not about getting everything perfect from the start. It's about learning and adapting and growing along the way. From embracing the new challenges to building a supportive community, relationships with people, that is important. So thank you for sharing your experience. We're going to move on to the next stage, where we will react all together with things that resonated with us. So let's get to the next bit. So this is a moment where, for a couple of minutes, we think about what we heard, the stories that we shared, and see if there's any similarities, from our experiences. I also was an international MA student, so there's definitely things that you have said that resonate with me. But I'll invite you guys first to tell us your reactions. So the 2 questions that we can think of and respond are: what did you hear today that resonated with your academic experience? And hearing other people share their experiences, what is a takeaway from for you from what you heard today? So anyone want to say anything?
I think I can start. I think from both of the friends, what resonated with me is like the importance of taking breaks, and I will talk about it later as well. Because like also when I came here, like, and in general, my personality is like I see progress as something like working constantly, and like I always underestimated the importance of taking breaks until I realized like in my dissertation project how I was burning out, like, and how overwhelming everything became. So I really like started to appreciate the importance of taking breaks, and also like it allowed me to see things from different perspective, or like as new ideas came, like when I was just resting, not working on the project itself. So I think that's the most important takeaway, I guess. Like we talk about it a lot, like it's like it may sound obvious, but at the same time, like there may be some people who are also like underestimating. So I would recommend to take breaks all the time, like take it easy.
I think taking a break is important because we sometimes demand ourselves a lot. That's what that those expectations, personal expectations that we have, as the ones I heard from the two stories. We have our expectations. We have our am I meeting the am I meeting my goals? Am I getting there? So taking breaks is important. If you're not a gym person, going back to Rafa's story, you could find any other hobby. If you like walking, running, dancing, I remember, I discovered a salsa dancing class that I joined when I was doing my MA. And in Mexico, I wouldn't say I was the best dancer, but this is where I learned how to dance salsa. I learned more about my own culture, the music that I grew up with and never really engaged with, and I ended up going to performances, presenting, and dancing around. And it was very, very, very nice. It just takes your mind away from the academic work because you need that break to breathe, isn't it? Any other comments or questions or?
Yeah, I can go. I think it depends of how are you before coming here. Also, it's important to know your personality. I'll normally take everything not that seriously, and I'll put more time into having fun and making friends and working. So I think the important the contrast in the final lesson is it is important to understand the expectations of the university, the teachers, everything I have already spoken about, and adjust your routine to that. So, for example, for me, it was to put some time to work actually, instead of not only like enjoying the time. And yeah, at the end, the important thing is to meet the expectations, and it's important to understand that the expectations that we are bringing from home are different probably than the ones that we'll need here. And also maybe another important comment that Carol also mentioned is you have time to adjust. So you can start strong. That's all would always be my advice. Start strong and putting more effort and more time into the task. And then you maybe finish semester one and say, okay, I did good. I can relax a little bit. Or you can say the opposite. I need to put a little bit more of effort, but it's always to adjust to the downside. So starting strong and putting a lot of effort from the beginning in everything is also good. And just to take the gym, of course, hobbies are important, but also tiring the body, I think, is key, especially when you're living in a new place. So yeah, salsa for sure works, but that's key, that tire the body and the mind both at the same time.
Yes, basically it's striking that balance, finding that balance between work and, hobbies and pleasures and doing things that you like, because, knowing yourself, how do you work best is also important to not to get to that burnout that you mentioned, Shaq the soda.
I don't want to sound like there are two separate things between having fun and working. I think the key thing is having fun, and that's extremely important, but also enjoying the work, because not all the times in our life we have the chance to be studying, to be reading, to be learning. That's something you should enjoy. And also not all the times in life you have the opportunity to put your own view of things into some work, call it essay, dissertation, exams. That's you putting your work and your views of the world in something. So that's also something we need to enjoy. So enjoy the study. Don't see it like as the heavy part and okay, I'll go and have my salsa class and forget about it. No, the thing is try to enjoy the study, try to do your best to enjoy the study, and then go and, of course, enjoy the having fun.
That's it. Yes, I completely agree. Our next topic is looking ahead, preparing for your dissertation, and shaping the final stage of your MA studies. And so we have here today Shahrizoda Salimboyeva, master student in Digital Technology, Communication and Education, or DTCE, and she's joining us today to share her experience on the topic. Shahrizoda, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. So today I'm going to share my journey about writing my dissertation, and surprisingly, I think my takeaways, my reflections are very similar to my friends. So now, like I'm originally from Uzbekistan, and I had a background in teaching and learning before, and like specifically in English language teaching. And I chose to come to DTCE program because I wanted to transition into learning design field, which was one of the career pathway options here when I was like checking out the program. And which is also like closely related to why I chose my dissertation topic. So now I'm working on my dissertation, and this is a design-based research. And so like as part of this, I'm designing a digital tool prototype for DTC students who are planning to transition or enter the learning design field, which is often classified, like described as something very ambiguous because roles and titles are very overlapping and confusing. So yeah, this actually came from my own experience because in the first semester I was taking Learning Design and Technology Practices unit with Dr. Mandy. And in that unit, we were reading lots of papers about the field itself. And in most of them, I found out that the roles were like really similar to each other, but at the same time, very confusing. So after that, I tried to read more and thought like that's going to help me. But the more I read the papers, the more question marks appeared in my head. So after that, like I talked to my friends and realized like this is a common problem among us. And like after that, like I realized like this may be my potential research area, and like took a note as like one of my options. And like from this, like I already can tell one of the lessons. I think like when reading papers from all different units, it's important to pay attention, like what's raising like curiosity and like what may be the interesting point for your research. So from both semesters, like there's going to be lots of opportunities, and I think it's very important to take them and like read papers, like because like there are a very diverse range of them. So I think this is one of the lessons. And when I started my dissertation, actually there was lots of doubt. Like it was like full of confusion, uncertainty, and like re-questioning everything. And so when I like actually proposed my topic and like started writing, I thought like choosing the topic is the most difficult part. So I already did that. So I'm gonna like it's gonna be smooth. But I was wrong, because once I started to read more papers, and like I became very confused. And also like since it's design-based project, there were lots of points for me to make decisions, like about the research, about the design choices, about evaluation methods. So I became more and more confused, and like I was going back to square one and questioning everything. And what I think like the first, like I saw that doubt and uncertainty as something negative, because like I thought like it's stopping me from progressing further. But what I realized a little later when I started to reflect on my journey, I realized like those moments of doubt actually like opened new perspective, because I was researching more and like finding new approach or new methods for my design. So I think changing the mindset from seeing negativity or uncertainty as something negative, I think like changing our like perspective and seeing as something positive can really help. And also like what my mistake was, as a person actually, like I always try to solve everything on my own, try to find my own answers, and I usually don't reach out to people around me. But then like when I was really struggling with my literature review, and at one point I just like couldn't put my words into the paper, although I had the papers, I had the ideas to take with me. I just couldn't move on, and like I started to feel overwhelmed, and like I was working on it every day, but it was like kind of illusion. I was working, but at the same time I was not progressing. And what changed my perspective is like what helped me to move on is talking to my friend. It was just casual conversation where we were catching up, and then when I shared my concerns, she turned out to had experienced the same thing. So she shared like her experience, how she dealt with it, and like only listening to her experience and resonating to that really helped to me like move forward. It's just like, oh, I'm not alone in this, and like other people are probably experiencing the same things. So I started to see that uncertainty as like natural part of the doing research, and really like helped me to move forward. I just started to take things easy, like sometimes I just divided the task into very small steps, like writing one sentence, and I could just tick off from my list and then like take some break. So was like also key point for taking breaks and like taking it easy. Like sometimes like process is more taking small steps consistently rather than trying to get everything perfectly. Because like when I was trying to write my like literature review, I had some sort of belief in my mind, like I had to make it perfect from the first attempt, although we have supervisors to give feedback to guide us. But somehow like this stopped me really like from moving forward. And then like once I started to take things easier, actually like I started to move forward, kind of I became more productive. And yeah, so my key takeaways is like uncertainty is like key part of the research, and it's like I think it's never gonna disappear. So I think taking small steps while being uncertain is really important. And like doubt is also okay. Like it sometimes helps you to find something new. And I think whole dissertation project and reflecting on it really helped me to grow as a person. And like I think skills and like the insight that I gained from this process really helps like and applies to all aspects of my life. Like reaching out to people is really important, and just like they don't have to solve or like give real answers to your questions. They can just like to listen to you, and like just talking through your concerns really can help you to move forward and like feel much better. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I like, a few things of the story you mentioned. So emphasizing progress over perfection. We go back to the same idea of the two previous stories where you can't get everything right at the first attempt. And I think being conscious that academic work, academia, and just if we go back to our cognitive process and how we think and how we learn, it's never like a straight line. It's never like I'm riding my bike, I'm gonna get to the finish line. No, it's like you're up and down and also getting back to the beginning and moving forward. It's messy. It is messy, and that gives a lot of uncertainty. And as a neurodivergent person, because I am dyslexic, it was difficult for me when I was an MA student to move forward sometimes, because I would get stuck in ideas that I couldn't understand or process easily. But then I understood, oh, okay, this is not about getting everything right. I'm going to learn through the process. Reflection helped a lot. And I was able to move, but also with the help of the supervisors. I think I go back to Rafa's story, get help, get people around you. You yourself said, just by listening to a peer, a colleague, a classmate, and then realizing, oh, I'm not the only one. We're all in the same boat. That is important. It keeps you moving. Thank you very much for that. So moving on, we go to the next stage of our audience reflection. Anything that resonated with you from Rissoda's story?
Sure. Hey, Soda, how are you doing? I mean, kind of Cairo, Soda, and I all have like the same ideas expressed in different ways. We've all been through the same. And there's another thing that I know is important to consider, but we should consider this responsibly, but because it can sound like also easier and pleasant and stuff. But actually, you get good at something when you do it again and again and again. and make mistakes and be improving. I'm 33 years old. I've been working in business and marketing for the last 15 years, and I'm really good at that because I've been doing it for 15 years. This is my first time like in academic writing or in research. So actually, I cannot expect to be perfect in the first time. We should also acknowledge that this is a master's degree dissertation. So first things first, understand the task, do the best you can, and deliver the work. That's it. We cannot expect to be perfect, not even putting 24 hours a day that doesn't make any sense in 3 months, because that's not how things work. So it's important also to acknowledge that this is a master's degree, that we are actually learning as we do, and that perfection is not something we're always dealing with. And also, I forgot to say another thing. It's also important when understanding the framework and stuff, and understanding the gradings, because I remember a few people in the beginning saying, okay, I never have a 70 in my life, 70 out of 100, and here 70 out of 100 are great news. So also changing our mindset and expecting allow us to fail will get us closer to improve in the future. So understanding that this is learning as we do and not like a final work, at least it has to be a final dissertation and stuff, is also important for us, I think. So we are students, we are learning to academic write and to research and about education and stuff. So I am saying we should be careful about this, because not to be like conformist in any way. We have to do the best we can and have the better version of ourselves, understanding that is a work in progress and we are learning as we go.
That's a key word, isn't it? A key phrase, work in progress. And you know that it takes time sometimes to get there, but I think most of the students will get to that understanding, whether it's in semester 1, semester 2, or at the end in semester, over the summer. People get to that point of, oh, okay. Any other thoughts, ideas?
To share something.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead. It's okay. Yes.
Thanks for Rafa's comments. And yes, I have some similar experience with Shakizoda. Yeah, and about my dissertation journey, because I'm also doing my dissertation. And yes, I'm planning and planning your time properly and talk to friends is absolutely right, because I'm also facing the same challenge, but maybe a little bit different from her, and because I collect data, but after analyzing the data, I found that some of the results may different from what I thought before. So I may maybe to change some of my angles and some of my elements before I planned. And I also share my experience with my thoughts and my experience, and when I was writing my dissertation with my friend who is also doing MA in applied linguistics, and asked for his help, because many of our supervisor is in their summer vacation. So the only way to seeking for help is our friends, and we talk about my issues, and then we figure out how to handle it after analyzing the data. So yes, talking to friends is absolutely right. And I also learn a lot from Rafa's 8 items from his list. Yes, and to keep a balance between work or study and life is important. There are maybe countless challenges and tasks to finish and to do. The only thing we can do is to adjust our time to take up and overcome this challenge and task in our life. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. As we come to the end of today's HARP program session, Rafael's and Cairo's reflections remind us that finding our rhythm in semester 1 is both practical and personal. Raphael shows us the importance of starting strong, planning ahead, building routines, seeking support, and making the most of university life. Cairo's story adds another important message. Sometimes finding your rhythm also means slowing down, listening to feedback, reflecting on it, and allowing learning to become a process rather than just a task to complete. And finally, Jacques Rousseau's story reminds us that uncertainty is not a sign that something is going wrong. It is part of the process of finding direction. Her experience shows how confusion, doubt, and feeling stuck can be something like a turning point. When we talk to others, take small steps, and give ourselves permission not to produce the perfect work, this is where we can become unstuck, choosing progress over perfection. I hope this session has offered you a space to reflect, to feel a sense of belonging, and to recognize the shared humanity in the academic journey. If you're a student at the University of Manchester, I encourage you to reach out to university services that are available to us. Once again, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you all. That's all from us. Bye now.